Hi there, welcome to Let's Talk Tottenham. Me riding solo today. Might have Brian a bit later on. Hopefully we have Brian later on, but if not, you're stuck with me, I'm afraid. Just the roller coaster that is Tottenham. Big win on a high, and then we end up on the low after a bad defeat, and then we get the high again, and then are we going to get the low again with Man United? I mean, before we begin, thank you everybody for watching. Please get your comments in, join the chat, and please hit the like and please hit the subscribe. 195 subscribers at the moment. Really, really wanting to get to 200. That'd be amazing if you can help me do that. But we'll start off 5-0 Everton result. Were we good or were Everton bad? I mean, the game was quite strange, I thought. In the first 15 minutes, Everton were closing us down. They were harrying us. They were pressing us. And a lot of our passes were going all over the place. And, you know, if teams press us, we don't necessarily have all the passes there to be able to pass it round them and keep the ball and build momentum. I thought they stopped us quite well in that respect. They didn't really create anything. They had a couple of maybe half chances or quarter chances, possibly not even half chances. But yeah, so it was quite for a team who are relegation threatened Everton against a team away from home who are fighting for the top four. I'm not sure we'll get that. Still, I think we're too inconsistent. But a team fighting for top four, you know, a draw for Everton isn't a bad result. So they'd have been quite happy. I would have thought 15 minutes in, 15 minutes in, and you know, not really anyone's laid a glove. Which, for Everton's perspective, we haven't laid a glove at all. Mark Cousins in the chat. How you doing, Mark? Everton were made to look bad. I mean, certainly that second half they looked absolutely dreadful, and I think goals change games. I'm not sure the first one did. You know, you can easily go 1-0 down, and then it's how you react to that. I think the second goal going in a couple of minutes, so it can't have been that many minutes after the first one, and then all of a sudden, in the blink of an eye, you're 2-0 down. Very similar to the Ajax semi-final. You know, the first goal that Moura scored wasn't the crucial one. The second one was the crucial one, scoring that about 2 minutes afterwards. It then becomes next goal wins game. Whereas if Ajax, concede the first goal, keep it tight for 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, momentum kind of stumps out and they can see the game out. And I think Everton conceding that second goal straight after the first, it looked to me like their heads are completely dropped. Whether that's because of the situation they're in, they don't have any fighters, or combination of both, or we, like sharks, smelt the blood and then didn't let them off. Yeah, it was just a complete contrast. And then all of a sudden, the gaps started appearing. And I mean, Kane's first goal, the gaps that are created there, and it was just so easy. I'm terrible at football. I pay £5 each week to play football, and I'm terrible. And I'd have been able to pass that ball to Kane, I think. But we'll talk about Doherty later because he's not done the basics very well recently, and he deserves a lot of credit for this game. But we'll talk about him a little bit later. But yeah, I think the second goal going in so quickly after the first, I think that's what did Everton. I think it's completely destroyed their confidence. They obviously haven't got that much confidence anyway, losing all these games. But yeah, I think it not made them drop off, but I think it completely destroyed their confidence in that game. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, here we go again. I think that's what happened. And then that was game over then. And then it was just a case of how many we wanted. Calvert-Lewin had a chance, I think, in the second half, which he dragged just wide, and Richarlison couldn't grow enough to slide in and put it in. I don't think it would have made a difference. I think it would have been exactly the same as the Leeds game, whereas if Leeds had have scored, which they had chances to score, so they played a lot better than Everton did. They were at home, obviously. But if Leeds had have scored, I think we'd have just capitalised on the gaps they were creating and just gone and scored another one, and then got our cushion back. I think, yeah. But we've had this before. We had this after the Leeds game where we played really well against a team who left gaps and left things open. Everton did that. And then we come against a team who sit back in I think was it Burnley after that game, or was it Middlesbrough? I can't remember. No, it was Burnley after Man City, wasn't it? So Man City's similar, team who open up, allows us to counter attack, and then as soon as we come against a team who don't do that, game over. Well, not game over, but we can't break them down, and then we end up conceding a silly goal. Not looking like we're going to lay a glove on them at all, and then all of a sudden we end up losing the game, and then the high that we've been on after beating a top team or trouncing a team is completely gone, and then we have to go again. Alan in the chat, how you doing, Alan? And yeah, I learnt my lesson from last time, wearing a red t-shirt on a Spurs stream, so that won't be happening again. Hopefully Brian will be here at some point. He was quite offended, I think, last time, so hopefully he'll forgive me now by wearing a dark blue one. But yeah, so we have to capitalise on this performance and take that into the Manchester United game. Manchester United, we'll talk about Manchester United a bit later. Obviously, this is a review of the Everton game and a preview of the United game, but they should hopefully be kind of not feeling sorry for themselves, which is a double-edged sword because it could go one of two ways. They're feeling sorry for themselves and they go, right, we'll sort this out, or it carries on. But yeah, we've got to see this good form, and certainly with Kane in the goal-scoring form that he is, he's back to looking like if he gets a chance, it's a goal. But yeah, we've got to capitalise on that and get 6 points out of 6. Audio hard, San in the chat. How you doing, buddy? And yeah, I think with Everton, I mean, this isn't an Everton stream, but I feel a little bit worried for Everton. If they keep defending like that, they are going down, and it's going to be amazing to see if that happens. A mainstay in the Premier League era. They've had a few narrow escapes here and there before, but if they go down, it'd be unbelievable to see a team of that stature go down. But West Ham proved when they had the Joe Coles, the Rio Ferdinands, the Lampards, and the Carricks, you're not good enough to go. You're not too good to go down. If you're not playing very well and you don't get the points on the board, anybody can go down. And yeah, I don't understand really. Anyone can see what we did against Man City. When Man City attack us, leave gaps, leave the counter-attacking opportunities. We've got Kane, we've got Son, we've got Kulusevski now. Devastating. Same as Leeds. If you leave gaps, we'll exploit that because we've got the players up top to do that, especially if there's not that much passing involved. It's so much space, you can just knock it down the channels and Son, Kane or Kulusevski will run into it. The other players will join in the middle to create the numbers. And yeah, and I don't understand how managers can set up like that against us. When you see what Burnley do, what Middlesbrough do, just sit back. Just this isn't a tactical thing. If Ralph Ragnick is watching, but I just don't understand how teams go toe to toe with us and don't expect us to score goals or create chances. And Everton made it so easy for us. But I do think the first 15 minutes, they looked quite good. They looked really up for it. They looked really determined. They were pressing us, closing us down in all areas. And yeah, that second goal, I think, certainly, I don't know the exact timings, but it must have been a couple of minutes minimum, at least 2 minutes, 3 minutes after the first goal. And it was an error by Pickford as well. England's number one, letting it go right under him. I think that's absolutely killed them. And I guess when you're struggling like that, if you can see goals, you get into the mindset of, oh, here we go again. And then you end up not doing it. But then the issue that I have with them is they stopped fighting, they stopped closing us down, they stopped winning 50-50s, and they looked like they'd given up after, when did that goal go in? 26 minutes, something like that. And for them, that is really, really worrying. And talking of relegation, Marcus said hopefully next year we'll be talking about Chelsea going down. Not sure they'll go down. It's an interesting situation. They obviously can't do anything. They can't buy players. They can't sell players. They can't do contract negotiations. And they've got a few players who I think are out of contract in the summer. So if this isn't sorted, then they're just going to go for free. And yeah, obviously there was a bid in for Chelsea or interest in buying Chelsea, but that's been a pan now as well. So they can't sell the club. So yeah, really interesting situation there, and they could be in a lot of trouble. But you saw what happened when Lampard was there, and they had that transfer embargo. They got a lot of good players in that youth setup. So hopefully it is, and I like your hoping, Mark. But I'm not sure they'll go down. I think they've probably got quite a good lot of players in that youth setup there that can step in. But yeah, very interesting situation, and I think next season they won't be winning the league. I don't think they'll be near if this isn't sorted out. But let's talk about the players in the Everton. We can talk about the main man, Kane, in a bit, but I want to talk about this guy first, Doherty. He's got 2 assists. The first one, like I said, very easy. So much space there. Anyone could have passed that. The second one, absolutely lovely flighted ball. I mean, I would say there's no pressure on him, no real pressure on Kane. So again, for a Premier League level quality player, which regardless of what you think about Doherty, he is a Premier League level. He proved that with Wolves. Fairly easy again, and we'll talk about Kane's technique in a bit, but yeah, I mean, I said this about Emerson when he had a really good game, and I've said this about Doherty when he's had a really good game. So I'm a little bit hesitant to say it, but I've kind of given you a bit of a spoiler there, and too much there, so I'm going to have to say it. So hopefully this can be the turning point for Doherty. I mean, it's obviously helped that he's playing against a team where he's allowed to go forward. No one's really making him track back, and no one's tracking him when he comes back. But again, we've seen that before where that's happened, and he's looked completely off confidence. And rather than go forward and put a cross in or put a through ball into Kane, he's gone backwards, taking the easy option. We saw that with Harry Winks in the Carabao Cup final where he got the ball from Dyer or one of the central defenders. I don't think it was Dyer. I don't think he was playing. But one of the central defenders, 10-metre gap in front of him, turns back round, gives it backwards. That's confidence, I think. I don't think that's ability because, we've seen Harry Winks play a 50-yard pass before. So we know he can do it. I think it's confidence. And I think Doherty had the same. Emerson possibly the same as well, but we know from Wolves days that Doherty can cross the ball, Doherty can assist, and we saw that certainly with that second goal there. So hopefully that's a turning point. Hopefully Manchester United attack us at Old Trafford because then and then don't track back, because then that allows us to go forward into space. If they sit back and think, well, we're not going to let Kane, Son, Kulusevski have a sniff here, we're going to sit back and really bore the game up, then he probably won't have that much time to go forward and opportunities to go forward and put the ball in, and there won't be that space to, lift it over to Kane for the volley. But having said that, we've seen him in the past, like I've said, have absolute stinkers. The missed open goal against Middlesbrough. And I mean, you can say that's a confidence issue, but he's, like I've said, he's a Premier League level player. Any player who gets paid to play football can roll the ball into an open net. So that was just absolutely atrocious. But yeah, hopefully this is a turning point. But I've said this about him before. I've said it about Emerson before. And it's kind of come back to bite me. But yeah, Mark has also said Doherty looks good when Romero's behind him mopping up. And I think, I don't want to say our saviour is Dyer, but with Dyer playing in the centre, that allows Romero to play on the right side of that central defender, on the right side of that central defence, and then allows him to mop up if Doherty loses the ball, get caught out of position or whatever. So I do think having that ready-made central defender is crucial in that respect. And that's a good point you made, Mark, there. I didn't really clock that he mops up when he's playing behind him. But is Dyer good enough to be central defender? Probably not. We probably need a better one. But I do like Dyer. His attitude I quite like. And he shouts a lot, which, I can go on a football pitch and shout. But I do think he is a bit of an organiser there, certainly better than we've got at the moment. So at this moment in time, I think we need him in there. Going forward, if we have the summer that we hope that we have, I would expect someone else to come in who's a better central defender, centre of the central defence there. But yeah, Doherty, certainly that second goal for Kane, absolutely lovely ball. And you get some crosses that kind of give the striker a 50-50 decision. Do I head it? Do I volley it? Do I chest it? Do I control it? Whatever. And it's all, I mean, for most strikers, that would have been a 50-50. This is Kane here, who's banging form again, and everything he's hitting is turned to goals. But it made his mind up for him. I did it against Leeds. I'll just volley this one as well. It was absolutely perfect ball for him. And the first goal, even though it was easy, you still have to make the pass and you still have to look up. So there was no thought in his mind. There was no hesitation. It's just bang. And, half a second hesitation, Kane's offside there. Goal doesn't count. And I think if you look, Kulusevski ran out the way, moved out the way. So I'm not sure if that's Doherty saying, my ball, get out the way or whatever. Or Kulusevski has looked, saw he's running onto it and thought, he's got the better option here. I'll move out of the way. But either way, it was a good ball by Doherty, right into Kane's path. And then Kane does what, a fit and confident Harry Kane does. And yeah, absolutely superb from Doherty there. He just needs to follow that on now. Follow that on. And over the other side, I thought Sessegnon's best game as well. I know he came off. And then, he comes off. And then within less than a minute, his replacement has scored a goal, which he'd have scored as well if he was in that position. But the assist for the first goal that set the ball running, it was, his only thought there was to get down to the byline and get the cross in. And whoever's passed it to him, it might have been Davies, deserves credit for giving it to him into his path. And it brilliant cross, fizzed in. I mean, if the defender had done his job properly, it wouldn't have been a brilliant cross because it cleared it. But, the defenders are not in the right position. And then, it shinned it into the top corner of the net. But on another day, Kane would have got that touch instead. But it was the effort of Sessegnon that I liked, that I'm going to get that cross in. I'm going to run to the byline. And again, like Doherty, he doesn't get that opportunity against the Burnleys, the Middlesbroughs. Although the Middlesbrough in the first half, he had a few moments where better passes would have put him through. And he did have a cross that went in after putting it through the legs of the defender to get into a crossing or shooting position. So again, he needs to step up now, not step up, but carry that on. Whether he's injured or not, I don't know. But we have got good competition there. I mean, it wasn't long ago on the right side, Emerson or Doherty, who'd you choose? They're both not very good. Where Sessegnon, I've been impressed with, and his longest run of games, I think 5 in a row that he's had for a long, long time. And then Reguilon, as we know, what he does. So I think we've got good options on that left and a good opportunity now for Conte, if they're both fit, to say, right, which one of you want this position? It's up for grabs. Which one of you want it? And Doherty now has to, again, say, well, I'm in the position now. This is my position. I'm going to play in that position. Emerson's going to have to force his way in. Oh, excuse me. And let's move on to the main man, Kane. We've mentioned him already. Back to his best. I mean, he's got 10 Premier League goals, I think. Looking at Sky Sports on the stats, which is the same as Son. And Son having a bad season as well, which I suppose with 10 goals, it's not his best. But yeah, the finishes, that first goal especially was what I say is a sign of a good striker for me. And Van Nistelrooy was perfectly in his category. If he goes 1-on-1, it's a kickoff because he's going to score. And I mean, my issue with the goal when I was watching it was he's clearly offside. And that's what VAR has done to the game now. You can't celebrate goals because is it going to be VAR? But it was clearly onside, and ignoring the VAR part, as soon as he went through, unless the whistle went, which is not supposed to now, you're just supposed to let it happen, score the goal, put it wide or whatever, and then VAR looks into it. As soon as he went through, you knew it was going to be a goal. You knew it was going to be a goal. And he's kind of sent Pickford the wrong way and made it look very, very easy. The second goal, incredibly difficult technique and a really tight angle as well, and he's put it in off the post, very similar to his goal against Leeds, and he's looking absolute banging form again and just hungry, and if you give me a chance, I'll score it. And that's the Harry Kane that we need. If there is any chance of us getting this fourth, we have to have him banging form. And the partnership, when we've got space that Everton allowed us to have between him, well, we know about Son, and now Kulusevski, we've got a real good triple threat up top there. If we can get space. If we don't get space, that's where they've got to kind of work it a bit more, and then we struggle with the lack of a creative player. But when there is space, Kane can drop deep. He's got two players there who fill his void, if you like, and then he's got options to pass it to, and then he can join in the middle. And yeah, I just hope Man United attack us, because then we can exploit that again. Certainly with the pace of Son up against Maguire, who isn't quick. And I think Kulusevski, quick feet, not necessarily quick running, but quick feet. I think that caused Man United all sorts of problems. We'll get into that in a bit later as well. But yeah, Kane, yeah, absolutely wonderful finishing, and then coming deep as well. I think man of the match again, dictating play, orchestrating play when he's allowed to have space to do that. And then, yeah, I think if we could get a playmaker in, a deep line playmaker like Conte had with Brozovic at Inter Milan, I think that could completely transform us a little bit. It would allow Kane to drop deep as well, like he does. Two playmakers there. But if he doesn't, it allows him to stay up top and there's still a playmaker there. And then definitely helps us out against teams who sit back, because we've got a playmaker without having to get our striker moving backwards. But that's going to be in the summer, whether that happens or not. I mean, that's the golden question, isn't it? Is Daniel Levy going to allow Conte to spend money? That's for 4 or 5 months' time. But at this moment in time, Kane is banging form, and yeah, Son scoring as well. Kulusevski not today, but has done in the past. So they're all contributing, all assisting. Kulusevski was at hand for a couple of the goals as well. Yeah, all contributing, but I will say Everton made it easy for us in the same way that Leeds did, and to an extent in the same way that Man City did, whereas Burnley, Middlesbrough didn't at all, and that's where we struggle. Wayne Bonner, how you doing, Wayne? Everything's starting to click at the right time. Just need the consistency and the defence to stand tall and not mess around in our own area. This season is ours to throw away. A month ago, after the Leeds game, certainly the City game, I'd agreed with you. I think it's not. I'm not sure it's ours to throw away now. I think it's Arsenal's to throw away. But Manchester United are still there, so if they can get that derby out of their head and get a win on Saturday, then it's potentially back in their hands as well. But I do agree with you that need the consistency in the defence to stand tall. The consistency is a big issue. If we played teams like Man City, Leeds, Everton every weekend, we'd be right bang up there, because these are teams that open up against us. Like I've said 100 times on here, you need the teams to beat the teams who sit back. You need to grind the results out. And I don't think we have the players in terms of the passing ability to unlock teams like we used to have. But yeah, and the defence, I mean, very difficult to kind of judge them against Everton, because they and Lloris as well. They pretty much had to do nothing in that game. The first 15 minutes, Everton and closes down, like I've said, but they didn't really create anything. I can't remember in the entire game Lloris having to make a save or even be troubled. A few crosses here or there, but you get that in every game. And I can't really remember Dyer, Romero, or Davies having to do much other than a few crosses that were headed out and stepping forward and breaking play up in the middle. So Manchester United will be a big test. Certainly, if Ronaldo plays, everyone knows he's a player for the big occasion. So if he plays, I wouldn't bet against him scoring against us. I don't really want to say it, but it's the way it is. But yeah, we've got to take that momentum, like Wayne says, the consistency of that game, and get that into another one. It doesn't matter how we win; just get a win. 6 points out of 6 is huge. We can't really afford, if we want to get fourth, we can't really afford to only get 4 points out of those 2 games. We really need 6, certainly against one of our rivals for this top 4 space. Just a moment to talk about Dele as well and Lloris. I mean, I don't know if people saw, but after the game, obviously shaking hands and everything, Dele, as we know, came on when it was 4-0, 5-0, something like that. But didn't do a huge amount, but, neither did Everton. But obviously shaking hands, and Lloris appreciating what Dele had done, and it was good to see when he came on Dele, the fans singing his name as well. And then Lovie's taking him over to the fans to get his kind of goodbye, and the fans singing his name again. That was good to see. And Spurs fans and football fans in general get a lot of flack for being arseholes and idiots and stuff like this. But it was good to see that. It was good to see that. And I've never hated Dele in the fact that I hate Dele. I think, like a lot of fans, that the frustration and the anger is we've seen how good you can be, and now look where you are, and the levels have completely dropped. And we've seen how good you can be, and that's the frustration. But there's no doubt, like, some of the things he did, memories that will have been created forever. And let's not forget, it was him who put the ball through for Morva's injury time winner in the game behind me there against Ajax. And then the Crystal Palace goal, the Real Madrid goal, countless others. So I wish him well, Dele, but like I've said before, I think he needs a system to be able to play, and I think he's also, football isn't that important to him now. I think there's more important things in his life, and football isn't one of them. So I don't think he's got the not the attitude, but the desire to just be the best like he possibly did when he was 17, 18, 19. And that's a shame, but it was good to see him get a send-off, and it was good by Lloris as well to do that for him, appreciating what he did there, and the true captain kind of attitude and behaviour there. So that was really good to see. I really like that. Let's go on to United. Their derby defeat was a bad one. I didn't see the game, but from all reports and speaking to United fans, that second half they completely gave up, with the exception, I was told, of McTominay and someone else, and I can't remember. Sancho and McTominay were the only ones who didn't give up. Everyone else looked like they just gave up, apparently. And I think 89% possession for Manchester City in that second half, which absolutely crazy. A couple of comments audio I was Artisan regarding Dele, all stars burn out eventually, some quicker than others. That is true, but you can see Kane being at the top of his game for the next 5 years. He's obviously got that incentive if he stays with us to try and beat Shearer's record. I just think Dele, like Pogba, not social media, but sponsorships and stuff have taken over a little bit, and obviously Dele likes his computer games. And Jay Ashraf talking about Man United. Do you want Doherty or Emerson in the starting lineup tomorrow? Doherty for me. I said a little while before, I think Emerson needs a rest and taken out of the limelight. He's still a young kid, new country. He's been under a lot of pressure and a lot of flack. I think just leave him out of the firing line for a little bit, maybe a month, maybe a few weeks. Get him to work on stuff in training, certainly his defensive awareness. Although we saw against Man City, when all he has to think about is defending, he was superb in that game. He obviously had a lot of help with Kulusevski as well, and that's a good partnership there. And Kulusevski was kind of doing that against Everton as well, certainly in those first 15 minutes. But yeah, I think Doherty, for me, he's had that superb game against Everton. And on the chance, which I hope that Manchester United attack us, it's more suited for him because he can cross the ball. So yeah, for me, Doherty to start in that game. What do you think, Doherty or Emerson for you? Back to United. Yeah, that derby result can have two effects, can't it? It can either, we've been humiliated by our next door neighbours there, and we've got a big game coming up, so let's not have that again. Let's sort this out. Let's get a win. Let's get back on track. We don't lose 2 in a row, certainly not badly, which is what used to happen with in their golden era. I remember there was a story my friend told me with Paul Scholes. I think it was at Liverpool. They went 4-0 down, and Paul Scholes said to the defenders, "We're not conceding another one. The game's lost. We're not conceding another one." I think they lost 4-1 in the end. They've completely lost that now. And they do look like a team that is just not unified, not united, no pun intended. I think a lot of that can come down to the fact that they know the manager's only there until the end of the season. So players on the fringes, why am I going to bother listening to him? He's not going to be there for that much longer. Than the new manager might fancy me, so I'll take my chances with that. But this is Manchester United as well, biggest club in the world. They'll be in front of their home fans who won't be tolerating another abject performance like that. They've got Ronaldo there as well, who won't be tolerating performances like that. He didn't play against City, injured from what I understand. Fernandes as well. Let's not forget here, Man City are a far, far better club than us, team than us. I know we beat them, but there's reasons for that. But Man City aren't going to gift you that, that many chances in 2 games straight against us and against them. Certainly in a rival game like that. They'll see us, Manchester United, as an opportunity. We're obviously fighting for that 4th place with them. They'll obviously see that as an opportunity to get back on track. And I wouldn't be taking this lightly at all. I know it's Manchester United who had an absolute thumping from Man City, haven't looked that good in recent weeks. Maguire has looked completely off the boil and not an £80 million player. But as we know, football can change so quickly. And to go there thinking we've won this game because they're terrible and we'll get Kane, Son, Kulusevski in the goals, very, very dangerous thinking. And Ragnick is a tactician. And I'm 50-50 on the will they attack us and go gung-ho or will they sit back? I'm 50-50 on that. I'm really not sure. I can see that first half being a cure for insomnia. I really can. I can see the first half, both teams not wanting to give anything away and literally hardly anything happening, similar to the Middlesbrough game, first half. And then maybe a team, 20 minutes to go, trying to go for it, and then the game opens up in the last 20 minutes. But then I can also see a reaction needed after that City game and Manchester United trying to start off like a train. So it completely depends on which Man United turn up, I think. We'll turn up regardless, and I think it depends on what the other team do. What the other team do, that depends on how we turn up. If the other team attack us, fine, we can exploit that. If the other team sit back, it's going to be a boring game in respect of how Tottenham play going forward. I hope United attack us and go out like a train and we can stand tall our defence, like Wayne mentioned, and then we can pick them off on the counter. I think it's 2 teams, though, who, when they score first, they're fine. If they concede first, heads can drop and things go wrong from there. A couple of comments from Wayne here. Still see Emerson as a right centre-back. I think he'll do a hell of a job there. Our wing-backs are going to be a big part of our attacks and need to get them right. So I'd go with Doherty. I think so as well. I'd definitely keep Emerson out of the limelight for the moment, though. Just to, give him a bit of a rest. Let me bring in Brian. How are you doing, Brian?
Good morning, people. Or should I say good afternoon, people, to everyone on the other side of the pond.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm doing good, mate. I'm doing good. Thank you very much indeed. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm all right. Just the roller coaster with Tottenham. Are we about to go on a trough again? Let me get through a few more comments. Mark Cousins. Can't see the United fans putting up with their season with their team sitting back. That's what I'm hoping. They want a reaction. Alan Harris in response to Wayne. The way he challenged Che Adams, I'm talking about Emerson, I think, when we play Southampton, I'd not be rushing to have Emerson as a centre-back of any kind. And then Wayne in reply to that, given time and the right coaching, I think he'd be good there, albeit as a sub. He's too cautious of defensive to be a wing-back. And he is 22, so 22 is very, very coachable. If you're 29, you're probably set in your ways a little bit there. You're in the twilight of your career, maybe 5 years left. Probably not going to change your ways that much. Whereas 22, you've got a good 10 years yet there. And Conte has shown, Victor Moses, prime example, players can be coached. And Alan there, Man United will try and come out of the traps quickly and hope to get an early lead. We need to take advantage of that. I really hope that's what happens, because I can see then Kane, Kulusevski, Son really doing well there. And Alan has, in case you haven't noticed, Brian, the red shirt has gone.
Fantastic. Thank God.
After last week's
debacle, Redgate.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Everton game. I've gone through it already. My thoughts and a few people in the comments. Thanks for the comments coming in. Please make sure you hit the like and subscribe. But for the Everton game, for your perspective, how did you see that?
I saw it very, very well. I saw it very, very well. Watched it with Brian Ireland at the Scotland Yards, the world famous home of Toronto Spurs. It was great to be back in that pub because I love that pub. It is my favourite pub in the world, period. Not just because it's Toronto Spurs, or it is because it's Toronto Spurs' pub, but the actual pub itself is phenomenal, and they do a lot of stuff with us. They open up at 6 o'clock in the morning for us for the 7:30 games, for the 12 o'clock kickoffs back home. So it's great to be there. It was just a great performance. Everton are woeful. Everton are woeful, and it's upsetting. You know what? To see a team of that I've grown up knowing just to be in this division like us.
Yeah. I said that earlier. It would be absolutely unbelievable if they go down, a mainstay of the Premier League era and a huge club as well.
Yeah, well,
if they go down.
I don't want them to go down for one reason and one reason only, that if they go down, we are the only mainstayer that's been there from start to finish that haven't won it. So I'm praying just on that note that Everton don't go down, because then that's another thing coming our way. But talking about things being in a terrible state, all I have to do is say Chelsea get sanctioned everywhere they go. Chelsea get sanctioned everywhere they go.
What do you think about that? Wayne Bonner's actually asked any news on Skip. Morning, Brian. Afternoon, Chris.
Yeah.
I'm not sure on Skip, but we'll come to that in a minute.
I can tell you about Skip right now. Right now. So basically, first of all, good morning, good afternoon, Mr. 57 Screens. I love Wayne Bonner to pieces. He's a top dude, and phenomenal supporter of the
very, very big supporter of Spurs.
He's one of, if not the biggest, without a shadow of a doubt. He is superb. So I was just on We Are Tottenham TV, and they did Conte's press conference, and he's concerned. It's basically a muscular injury. There is no news of it. I mean, I said it a few weeks ago on your show and other shows, and I said, from what I've heard, this is a lot worse than people are. Yeah. This could be there's no expected date back yet. Put it this way, which is concerning. Because right now that means we just have to wrap Bentancur in cotton wool, because we cannot allow a certain player to get on the pitch unless it's playing in like a Leeds where he can have the game where he did. So. Going back to the Everton game, though, Matt Doherty, fantastic.
Yeah, he deserves a lot of credit, I think. He's obviously been given a lot of stick, and quite rightly so. And I mean, the first Kane goal, I could have played that pass, but his only thought was to play that pass, whereas previously it's been going back. But the pass for the second goal, and you can argue about the lack of a press or anyone near him, it made Kane's mind up for him. Obviously, it's Kane, so it doesn't need to be that precise for Kane to be able to know what he's going to do. But yeah, absolutely superb from him there. And I said it before, and I've said it before. I hope this is a turning point for Doherty, and I've said it before, and then it ended up not being, and he had an absolute stinker. But huge credit for him there, I think.
Yeah. I have to remember, obviously, when we signed Sissoko, it took him a couple of seasons, and then he had that great season. Not saying that that's going to be the same, but like I've said, these players are on such a high wage and have the dream job that we'd all wish we'd have, that when they play bad, they're going to come into criticism, and when they play good, even if it's a player that we've been slating or is a scapegoat, you have to stand up and say, do you know what, he's took the criticism, now he deserves the plaudits, which he most certainly does. You got to remember as well, he was flying at Wolves. Flying. Yeah. So it wasn't that he didn't have it, but it seems, I think Kulusevski being there has helped him as well. Yeah. Like he played his best football last season. All right, his best wasn't very good last season, but his best football was when he had Gareth Bale. There's some players that work better as combinations, as we know, with Kane and Son, yada, yada, yada. These things sometimes need a player that can support them, and the introduction of Kulusevski has certainly helped, and that's the player. I mean, Bentancur, we saw immediately how vital he is, but Kulusevski against Everton was absolutely extraordinary.
Yeah, I think he was superb for Emerson as well at City. I think part of Doherty and Emerson's problem is if I go forward, I've got no one there, and my defense, I'm going to get caught and then concede a goal. Whereas Kulusevski, much better than Mora, even though I love Mora, at tracking back and helping out the wing back, full back, whatever you want to call it. I think it then gives them a bit more confidence. I can go forward because if I get caught, my buddy's here behind me and then he's going to hold him up. I can get back in position. I think we saw that against City. Oh, Brian's gone.
Okay, we're back. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, I didn't put a red shirt on. I didn't upset you. But anyway, yeah, and I think that gives them the confidence that I can go forward because my buddy's there going to hold it up and then I can get back into position. And I think that's crucial. I think that's absolutely crucial. And against City, Kulusevski wasn't doing it after we scored the first goal. And then Cancelo, I think it was getting at Emerson quite a bit. And then you could see him visibly change, whether he was told to do that or whether he decided to do that. And then he supported Emerson and kind of snuffed that out for a little bit. And kind of stem the tide. I think that's superb, and I've been really impressed with Kulusevski with that, as well as all of his exploits going forward.
So with Kulusevski, also you got to remember there were talks of him maybe being potentially a right wing back. So it's like he understands that position as well. So he may not play there, but he understands that position. But also, I was at the City game with Ben and Simeon, and what actually helps Emerson as well is Romero, because he comes over straight away to mop up. But the Kulusevski effect certainly, as you've just mentioned, certainly is paying dividends.
Yeah, you mentioned that with Emerson, and Mark Cousins mentioned that earlier. Doherty looks good when Romero's behind him mopping up. Exactly the same thing there.
Yeah.
We mentioned Chelsea. Mark Cousins has asked, morning, Mr. Daigle, can we have a moment's silence for Chelsea RIP? What I would say about that, and this will be controversial on a Spurs stream, but hear me out, is I would hope, my hope is that nothing had happened and Abramovich is still owning Chelsea, because that would mean that Russia aren't in Ukraine, everyone in Ukraine is safe, and potentially the world as well. But this is a situation, and this is a very interesting situation for Chelsea, because they can't sell anyone, they can't buy anyone, they can't extend contracts or anything. He can't then sell Chelsea.
He can't sell anything in the club shop.
Yeah, and I mean, they won't go down or whatever like that, which someone said on the comments, because we saw what happened when they had that transfer embargo. They've got a good youth set up there, so they'll end up having to bring youth through if players move out, but they certainly won't be winning the league. But I mean, what do you make of it all? Obviously, as a Spurs fan, you're delighted about it, but in terms of actual football and taking the Spurs hat off for a moment as well, what do you make of it all?
Well, first of all, Stamford Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. Stamford Bridge is falling down. Bye, bye, Roman. Listen, this is the thing. When you start talking this, you're talking football and politics. There's one topic I never, ever, 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 ever talk about, either on stream or off stream, is politics. It's just the biggest argument waiting to happen. That I just don't bother. I don't bother. Listen, we knew this was coming. It was all going to start from when Roman passed it over to the charities and the trustees. This was waiting to happen. They had time to try and get a deal done. I know it's not as easy as like buying something from a shop. It's a big deal, but it's happened. Could have happened to a nicer club, in all honesty, with my Spurs hat on or without my Spurs hat on, because Chelsea fans are just vile. I mean, when everyone was doing the clap for Ukraine last week, and they're singing Roman Abramovich's name, that just kind of shows the class.
Yeah, we do have to say, for any Chelsea fans watching, it's not all Chelsea fans. Like everything that spoils everything, it's a minority. I know some Chelsea fans who are really nice people, so it's not all Chelsea fans.
Oh no, I'm talking as a collective, not as a. Listen, look what they did with kicking the fan off the train. Look at the stuff they sing to us. I know that's not all Chelsea fans, but Chelsea have the reputation of their fans being like this. Yeah. So everyone gets labelled with the same brush. I know that they're not all the same, but unfortunately, that's what a lot of their support have brought on themselves. Listen, the people I feel sorry for are the people that work for the club within the ticketing office, that work at the training ground, and I don't mean within the physios. I mean the receptionists, the people that work in the cafeteria, exactly. The people that work in the ticket office, the people that work in the club shop, the ball boys, the stewards. That's the people I feel sorry for, because they're not getting the money, obviously, of the big hitters. So it's very hard to do this.
You're grinning there. I can see.
Yeah, no, sorry, I've got We Are Tottenham team. So
Oh right, I see.
No, because I've got it on there. And you've met Nick, Barry, Sean, Phil, Grant, haven't you?
I think so. Yeah.
So when we had my leaving drinks last week, me and Simeon found Barry from EastEnders singing "We're Gonna Do It Anyway," and he's just about to come on, and Simeon has played that song for him. And I was like, wait, what the hell is going on? Then I realised, so I'm going to put my phone away. So I paused it.
Yeah, so I thought you were smirking about Chelsea's situation.
No, listen, I mean, I'm not going to lie. Listen, I can't take my Spurs hat off with this. And they bought everything. And you know what? Simon Jordan did a wonderful... I love Simon Jordan on TalkSport. Love him. Yeah. I think he's absolutely brilliant. He may be outspoken. Sometimes I think he may be wrong, but the way he talks and the way he talked about when he said good riddance, he goes, if you look at it, look at the Football League below, where teams like Derby and everything are struggling. It's because people like him, and he was the first one in this country, came in and did it and had to have the best of everything and make these transfer fees ridiculous. When you look at someone back in the day like Jack Walker for Blackburn, yes, he did buy in the title. There's no doubt about it. But this guy was an old man that loved Blackburn, lived in Blackburn, supported Blackburn all his life, and was like, I want to see my team as champions. And put all that money in out of pure love. Not for sports washing, not for... and as he said, it's like a life insurance policy. Get your money into a football club, yada, yada, yada. And that's what it's become. Teams are in so much financial turmoil now because these big guys have come. Now, don't get me wrong, I'd love to have one of these big guys. But I don't mean like a someone that's linked to someone or like that. So this was coming. The bubble was burst. Listen, the Chelsea fans are going mad, but they know if it was Man City that were having this done against them, Chelsea would be laughing it up.
Well, it's the same with everything, isn't it? Like football fans are so fickle, and you have a moan about this because it's happening to your team, but if it was happening to someone else, you wouldn't care less, and you'd be saying we're absolutely justified and blah blah blah.
Exactly.
Alan has said Chelsea, they loan a lot of players out every year. If this is in place during the summer, they'll have a well overloaded squad and wage bill. In terms of purely football standpoint, if this could carry on for a long time, so they're in this situation for a long time, I don't think it will affect this season too much because obviously the season is underway, but certainly next season, when you're planning for next season, players going out on loan, which I'm assuming they're not allowed players out on loan because that's essentially kind of a transfer, and a lot of loans now.
They can't do anything, Chris. They can't do anything. And there's talk even, I saw a thing, they could be bankrupt in 81 days.
Oh, really? Yeah. And so do you see them being bankrupt? Do you see them... Do you see them winning the league? Do you see them getting relegated? I can't see that. What do you think will happen to them? Obviously, it all depends on how long it goes on for.
Yeah.
But what do you see happening to Chelsea? All the Spurs fans going RIP Chelsea. Obviously, we're a Spurs stream here, and Spurs fans, and they're a big rival. But yeah, what do you see happening to them?
They're not going to look. Put it this way. They can't win the league this year. They're so far behind Man City and Liverpool. And that's when they could sign players.
Yeah.
So unless everyone goes, you know what, Chelsea, we're going to make this easy and none of us will sign players, which ain't going to happen, obviously. They ain't going to do it. They ain't going to do it. I mean, if Thomas Tuchel walks, they can't even sign a manager.
Yeah, and they got Rudiger, who's regardless of what we think about Rudiger, he's in their starting lineup every game, so he's a key player for them. I think his contract runs out in the summer or some point before next season. And with this in place, they're not allowed to offer him a new contract. And then unless they've got someone ready-made in the youth setup, they're not allowed to get a ready-made replacement either. And I think they've got a couple of other players whose contracts are running out as well. I don't know offhand.
Well, one of them's Aspilicueta. So it's but he's been there for years and years and years. But and is a big part of that team. Yeah, he's getting
It's
old,
a huge problem for them. And yeah, like you said, which I didn't think of, if Tuchel walks, they can't go and buy. You don't buy a manager, but get a manager in, because that obviously involves a fee as well. So then you're presumably left with whoever the assistant is, or the youth's manager, or whatever. I mean, we do know that money makes the world go round, so it would not surprise me if they somehow wiggled out of it and got away with it. But I think with this kind of situation, it sends an awful message if they get away with it. So
they can't. I mean, let's face it. What if we go back a couple of years ago with Lampard? They couldn't sign anyone. Then all of a sudden they could sign people. That isn't this. This isn't FIFA or UEFA and corruption and whatever. This is the UK government and world governments making a stance against a war that shouldn't be happening. And there is no getting out of that. There is no getting out of it. FIFA and UEFA can say whatever they want. It's down to the British government, and I hope the British government the only political thing I will say, hope this sanction stays for as long as this horrible thing that's going on in the world right now continues. There is absolutely, and everything that's coming. I mean, you got to think about it as well, right? I mean, I don't want to turn point, but Russia have got to be looking at the moment. They're being cut off from the world, like disowned and whatever, and it's soon going to hit their economy. I know it's all fucking ridiculous money and illegal whatever, but it's, do you know what? As long as it continues, this will stay in place.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting what happens to Chelsea with it. Obviously, it means that no one can buy their top players if they want out, because they can't sell anyone. So that obviously works in their benefit as well, in a way. But yeah, in terms of building a new team and replacing those players that are free, they can't do that. In terms of the next generation getting experience, which their model is, you get youth players in, which you obviously don't pay for. You loan them out, get them some exposure. They obviously become top players, and then you sell them for a massive profit. That's completely gone as well. So, yeah, very interesting what happens to them. Very interesting what happens to them next season. But like we've said, it all depends on how long this stuff goes on for. And hopefully, I mean, you don't want Chelsea to get better or get any advantage, but hopefully it's back to normal very quickly, because then that means this whole situation is over and done with.
Well, that's the long and short of it. Yeah, obviously we'd rather this not be happening because of the war going on, but let's face it, it's happened. There's no getting away for it. So yeah, I mean, it's a sad time in the world, but whilst this happens, Chelsea can rot for all I care.
and from one team who potentially are going to be slipping from the top to a team that have slipped from the top, Man United on Saturday, tomorrow. What do you make of that game?
Transition.
Yeah, thank you. They're obviously a wounded animal. That Derby defeat was absolutely terrible for them, but it can go one or two ways, can't it? It can either be, well, we're not having that again, we're going to step up in this one, or it carries on and we score the first goal, and then all of a sudden it's the same again. And I think this is two teams here that when they score first, they're all right. If they concede first, heads drop. How do you see this game going? Do you think it will be, I think it could be the cure for insomnia, or do you think it will be a all guns blazing kind of game?
So do you know what? I've been saying this. I don't think it's got a damn thing to do with how Man U come out, or it does in a way, but I think the biggest thing in this game is the Old Trafford crowd, because they're coming back off of a humiliating, let's face it, it was a humiliating performance against Manchester City. The fans will also have that 6-1 from last season fresh in their memories, and that ground and the atmosphere is not going to be a good one. And if they don't get off to the start that they need, there's going to be problems. There's going to be big problems, and then you start looking at it from that way, and I think that will help us, because if they get off to a bad start, or we score first, then this Old Trafford crowd is going to have a huge impact on this game, and I think that's the biggest factor.
Yeah, it's completely different to under Ferguson years. When Ferguson, he had a couple of absolute pummelings from teams as well.
Yeah.
But when that happened, you never wanted to be the next team Man United play, because they always got a reaction. I remember they beat Nottingham Forest 8-1 away after a bad loss, and you never wanted to be that team, because top teams do not lose 2 in a row. They do not lose 2 in a row. They lose a game and then they get a reaction, so it's quickly forgotten. Whereas now, it's just not happened. And I do think there's an issue with Ralph Rangnick, not in his abilities or anything like that, but I think when you hire a manager who it's well known, and Ferguson has said that one of his biggest errors was saying before the season ended he was going to retire. And when you hire a manager and it's well known that we've hired this manager, he's only here for 6 months, whatever it was, and then he's off. If you're on the fringes of that team, or he doesn't like you, or he said he wants to sell you or whatever, and then he says, I need you to in this team, there's possibly always going to be a part of you, even slightly small, that says, well, what do I care? He's gone in 4 months, a new manager will be in. And I'm not sure that short term is that beneficial. And Ferguson said it was a big error of his saying he was going to retire at half time because players rested on their laurels there. So do you think that's an issue? And then obviously you've got the Ronaldo who, gets in a sulk if he's taken off. If he's scoring 40 goals, winning you the league, you can get away with that, and you can, I'll accept that. But he's not, and yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a mess, Man United. But I'm a bit hesitant to say too much because we're obviously playing them next, so I don't want to tempt too much fate.
So first of all, if under Alex Ferguson's Manchester United, it didn't matter what result they had, you never wanted to be playing Manchester United. You never, ever wanted to play Manchester United. Like, okay, let's just get this one done. The problem with Ralph Rangnick is, first of all, his main skills now as a director of football. So you now got like a potential guy whose assets are now better known as being a director of football. And as we've known, and as we've seen since Poch, the players, if they don't like the manager, can just say, do you know what, let's just down tools or whatever. But when you get a manager in for 6 months, it's like, well, if I'm not in his team or whatever, don't really matter because he ain't going to be here.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's a bit of a mistake from them doing that.
They are a mess. And when it comes to Ronaldo, listen, Ronaldo, in my opinion, has every right to sulk because he came to United and everyone bigged it up and everyone thought, okay, this is it. United are going to be, and they don't seem to be playing to his strengths. And if you sign Cristiano Ronaldo, you play to his strengths. You've got arguably the greatest player that's ever played the game. Or at least one of them that are definitely in that discussion without a shadow of a doubt. Like if you say the 3 best players to ever play in the world, you're probably talking, all right, 4. Pele, Maradona, and these 2. And some people will add George Best to that. That would probably be, if you were to ask 100,000 people for their top 3, I guarantee those 5 would come in the top 5. So you play to his strengths. And yes, he's not the Ronaldo of United. Yes, he's not the Ronaldo of Real Madrid. But he is still Ronaldo. He is still incredible. And he is a born, like you said, with Ferguson, he is a born winner. Like we see with Conte when he's been throwing his toys out the pram and we've been saying, yeah, it's fine, he's calling out Levy. Ronaldo, that's because he's just a born winner. And it's like, right, this ain't right. So I can see why he does it. I can see why he does it. I understand why he does it. Because that is not the man.
But it's not helpful to the team, though, is it? Certainly when they're struggling. It's not helpful to the team. You need everyone pulling in the right direction.
Well,
whether he's justified in doing it or not. But
it's the carrot and the stick, like Conte said. You can either have players that can say, that embrace what he's doing and say, Jesus Christ, that's Cristiano Ronaldo. That's Cristiano Ronaldo. He's bitching. I best up my goddamn game. You can't really turn around and say to Cristiano Ronaldo, who the hell are you? Why are you acting like this? You're a spoiled. You can't. Anyone that says that to Ronaldo is an idiot. This kind of thing should be, wait a minute, we got this guy here. If he's bitching him, I need to up my game. They may not be well, they can't up their game to his level, but as a team, they should be able to come together and do something. And it's just a bit, look at Rashford. Rashford can't even get in the team right now.
No.
They are a huge mess. And you know what? It's filling Alex Ferguson's shoes is a huge void. It is. And then you could say the same for Arsene Wenger. The first 10 years of Wenger, whoever was coming in after him had huge. Listen, when a manager's been there for 20 plus years, it doesn't matter what you've done. They are huge, huge shoes to fill. So Man United have brought this on themselves.
Yeah, I mean, what I would say about the strop and everything is Mane threw a strop when he came off. I can't remember who, and Klopp kind of sorted it out quickly, and then it was all forgotten about. Whereas, with all due respect to Mane, if you're printing a story between, you've got a choice between printing a story about Mane or Ronaldo getting in the mood, you're going to sell more papers by doing it about Ronaldo. So,
of course you are.
Whether it's an actual story or whether he's thrown a strop, let's create a story, I'm not sure. But there were definitely problems at Man United. And certainly, I didn't watch the City game, but I got told by a friend, other than McTominay and Sancho, the rest of them gave up in that second half. And I think I think they had 11% possession in the entire second half, Man United, which is unbelievable. And I didn't see the game of Man City are brilliant with the ball, but it suggests to me that they weren't closing them down and putting pressure on them that much.
Listen, 11%, Chris, sorry, possession in second half football. It doesn't matter what team you are. That's unacceptable. Doesn't matter who you're playing against. It's unacceptable. It clearly shows that the players weren't like when we had games where under Nuno where we didn't have a shot on target or a shot. That's unacceptable. For the fans, it's unacceptable 11% possession. And I didn't get to watch it live because I was flying back here when it was going on. But I watched Match of the Day when I got home. And it was horrific. Horrific.
Yeah, and like you say with the not the away fans, the home fans at Old Trafford, they're not going to tolerate that. Certainly from what they've experienced in the last, 20, 30 years or whatever, they expect a lot better than that. And I would have thought they expect a reaction. So if we can catch them out a little bit, go into them hard, show them they're in for a right old game from the start, I think that will benefit us a lot. And then hopefully, like you say, the fans will turn a little bit. And if we let them onto us and let them have a couple of shots in the first 5 minutes, it's going to buoy the crowd up even more. And they'll be loud as it is. When you're the away team, your first job, or one of your first jobs, is to shut that crowd up. And you do that by getting into them, showing them they're in for a game and having a few chances yourselves, or showing them you're dangerous early doors and stopping them have chances. So I say it every bloody time on here, every bloody preview I do, every preview I'm on other channels, the first 50-50, go in hard, knock someone up in the air, show them they're in for a game. I haven't seen it so far. Because even Everton, I thought the first 50 minutes, they were the ones getting into us. It wasn't really the other way round. And I think the second goal has absolutely killed them, happening 2 minutes after the first goal. It's completely knocked the stuffing and the confidence out of them, and the game completely changed. So we need to get into Man United early doors, show them they're in for a game, and that way. But what are your predictions for the game? We'll cover that off before we move on to the last point.
3-1 Tottenham is what I'm going for. I'm going bold. I just think with the week off, if you look at the stats, when Conte has had 5 days to get the players ready, we've played eight times. We've won 7 and drawn 1.
Yeah. So
those stats don't lie.
Yeah, Mr. K saying 4-1 Spurs. With those stats, what do you think that's similar? He's had more time on the training pitch, or his training is too intense, so players, sounds ridiculous, can't cope with 2 games in 3 days or whatever?
Well, you know what? You look at it, and he doesn't have a very good European record because the games are coming thick and fast. It clearly shows that he's having more time, especially you got to think it's more time with the players because he only came halfway through the season. I reckon pre-season, this 2 games a week thing is a thing of the past. And Nick, I know you've WhatsApped me, mate. I was just
6-1 Spurs again.
I was just saying Nick, Barry, Sean, Phil, Grant. I was just saying, literally, I started laughing. I paused it when you came on, so I haven't heard it, but I'm going to watch it as soon as this finishes.
I'd love a 6-1 Spurs, but I think twice in 2 seasons at Old Trafford, I'll take a 1-0 Spurs. I'll take a 1-0. Sorry, Brian.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll just say, yeah, like I said, it's clearly down to him having more time with these players. And I think, like I said, come pre-season when he's had the 6 weeks or whatever it may be, we're going to be firing on all cylinders if he's still there.
A good point here from Nick Collison as well. We scored 3 against City, 4 against Leeds, 5 against Everton, 6 against United. Why not? That would be amazing. And then by the time we play him, 8 against West Ham or something like that.
Well, we got 6 against them last time.
yeah, and in your point there with the Conte, the gaps between games, we have pretty much got a game a week now. There'll obviously be the odd time here or there because we've got games to catch up. So there'll be the odd midweek one here or there. But for the rest of the season, it's once a week. Which those stats are obviously very in favourable of. And Alan Harris, so am I, Brian. He's meant to be sleeping and getting better. But yeah, in terms of top 4, this is a huge game in the top 4. I'm sticking with my promise that I made last week. Well, I'm not going to go, we've won a game. We're back in the top 4 race. We are in the race because mathematically we can. I think we're too inconsistent, and I'd need to see a lot more evidence of consistency in evidence. This is obviously a big game, and to be honest, if we have any designs on 4th, we need 6 points out of 6. We can't even drop 2 here, I'd say. Certainly against the rival. But yeah, does this game for you set the basis for whether we're going to be top 4 or fighting for top 4? Or do you think you need a lot more information? Or do you think we're just not consistent enough, so there's no chance?
Listen, we have our consistency has been our inconsistency. We've all been waxing lyrical about the Everton game, but it means absolutely nothing if we don't get the 3 points here. Like when we beat City and then lose to Burnley.
Yeah,
we need to have
it's a 6-pointer this game.
We need to have 3 or 4 back-to-back wins right now from this game. I mean, 3 or 4 from here, not including Everton, to even say, right, okay, now I'm there. I think we do have a chance, and I just think
I'm with you on that.
I just think our inconsistencies, and we've got to play other relegation teams like Burnley, like Brentford, who I think will get out of it, like Newcastle, who to me are out of it now.
I saw on Sky Sports there's only one team in this calendar year that have got more points than Newcastle, and that's Liverpool. Amazing turnaround there, and teams. Some fans will think, "Oh, Newcastle, we're at home, we'll win that easily." It's not going to be easy at all, that game, and no games are now.
It's not at all. And you've got to remember, these are the teams to me that are hardest to play because they're fighting and they really have. Obviously, minus Newcastle. If Newcastle went down, the money drop's going to mean nothing to them. Absolutely nothing. All those other teams, it means a huge deal being in this league. We take for granted being in this league and the money coming in because it's just a guarantee for us. But I say a guarantee. Look at Everton now. But yeah, it's so these teams, I think, and these teams will also they won't be like an Everton who'll try and attack us. They will sit back. Burnley will sit back and just say, "Go on, Tottenham. We know you can't deal with it. Deal with it."
That's the issue that we have, I think.
Exactly. And again, we need to know for better. We need to get this Arsenal game penciled in the diary now and say this is the day that this happens, and get this dealt with.
Yeah, I can't believe it hasn't been rearranged. I think Arsenal have got a game against Chelsea as well, which hasn't been rearranged yet.
They do. But
I don't know how they can't rearrange that.
Well, the thing that has stopped it, obviously, which doesn't affect us now, but still affects Chelsea, is being in the FA Cup. Now we're not in the FA Cup and Arsenal are out. Maybe they will sort it out come quarter-final. Again, it all depends if the team we were meant to play at the quarter-final stage is still in the FA Cup. But now they can start looking and seeing when the FA Cup games are being played. And if there's a weekend where Spurs and Arsenal weren't, or the team they weren't playing in the FA Cup, then hopefully they can put it in.
Yeah. They need to sort it out.
I think what they're doing as well, Chris, I think Sky have got an awful big hand in this because they're waiting to see if this could come down to a top 4 winner takes all.
Yeah.
And what bigger game could they show? And what bigger ace up their sleeve could they have in their pocket than Arsenal Spurs, or Spurs Arsenal, should I say?
Yeah. It's just money, isn't it? It's just
Correct.
And regarding Man United, Alan said we need to win this. More importantly, we can't afford to lose. I would agree with that, but I think we need to win more.
We can't.
More
we
than
can't
United. I'm not sure. I'm not sure on that. But for us, for me, we have to win this game just to get that momentum going. Like Brian says, get on some kind of run. And Harry Kane said it on Twitter, didn't he? We need to go on a run now.
Yep.
He's obviously got a much better influence in doing that than I have. So hopefully he can do that. Last point before we go. This is obviously a contentious subject, and for anyone who doesn't know, season tickets. So we have to pay that. We have to pay that before the season ends. I sent an email asking why, and obviously everyone knows now, certainly in England anyway, that the utility bills, petrol, and what have you are going up. The utility bills in April, and then we're having to pay tickets as well. For me, it's slightly easy because I share it with a couple of others, so it's basically a third of the price, so it's not as big an issue for me. But obviously, for a lot of people, they pay the full price, and a lot of people pay for tickets that are far more expensive than mine. So it's completely, what's the word? When you're not inconsiderate, and just But then I thought it's Levy wanting the money, but then he'd get the money anyway for the season ticket prices because, just a month or two later. So I don't really understand why they're doing it. But, your thoughts on it, Brian?
Here we go. My thoughts on this. You're really asking me my thoughts on this.
Well, it's a Spurs chat, and I know you have an opinion on it.
It's not. No, I'm saying you know where this is going. This isn't controversial. This isn't controversial.
No.
This is typical of the parasite. This guy doesn't even know if we're in the Champions League, the Conference League, or the Europa League, or even in Europe next season. So let's say we all start paying it and we get Champions League. And the fact is, like you said, people save up over the year because it's always done in June where the deadline is. So they put a bit away each month, or they just do it in June, whichever way. Now, a lot of Spurs fans that pay for that ticket don't live the life of luxury like the Spurs players and the Spurs board do, where 1,000, 2,000, whatever your ticket price is, it's just like, oh yeah, let me just go down the back of the sofa and just pull out this money and just say this. People have children. People have school fees to pay. People are still looking for work after COVID. People are still struggling with money. And this parasite is asking for money for us, or not me, because I don't spend a penny, people like you, to spend their money early. For what? For what? Because where's that money that you are using for the events that are going back in the club? How was that spent during the January transfer window? Oh, a couple of deals right at the end after mucking us about. Where's the trophies? Where's the promise of everything you deliver? You say you spend everything that's coming into the club. Well, you haven't spent all of that money. Yet before the transfer window comes, you're asking Spurs players to invest their money before the transfer deadline comes in, because he's been very clever. He's been very clever because there's big talk that they're going to struggle this season for renewals. And there's big talk that if it doesn't, I know a load of people that will wait until the last possible day in the window to decide whether they renew or not, to see if Conte's been backed or if Conte's still there. Well, now he's just taking that option away from them.
Yeah.
This is what this man does. This is what this man stands for. Once again, he has sacked a manager at half-time. Half-time. Yeah. No club has done that. He has got a whole season without signing players. No one has done that. He has now asked for season ticket renewals to be done before the end of the season. No chairman has done that.
Yeah, I'd just like to know the reason which I didn't get a reason. It's just a
They're
copy and
not
paste
going
kind
to
of job.
email you back, Chris, and say because we need money for transfers and other
No,
things.
no.
It's all. It's all. But the thing is, you got to remember, he's in a when it comes to season tickets, and like I keep saying, I urge every season ticket holder to renew. And why I say renew is because there's a lot of leavey outers in there. And if you don't renew, your ticket is going to go to someone that's just delighted they got the ticket.
Yeah, yeah.
And that you're diluting levy out in that
That's
stadium.
why he's done it, hasn't he? Because he knows there's a queue as long as your arm behind those people. If you get rid of your season ticket, someone else will take it in.
It's to flush levy out. It's to flush levy outers out. That's what it's for. Because this man, do you know what? If Liverpool had done this, Liverpool fans would have no problem. Why? Because they see investment. They see trophies. They see what's going on. They can say, okay, if you want it, you've delivered me a Champions League, you've delivered me a Premier League title, you've just delivered me the Carabao Cup, you've got to sign Diaz, you've got to sign Jota. I can see what you're doing. What can we see? Nothing.
Yeah, I'm willing to wait until the summer. You know me, I'm an eternal optimist, and it always comes back to bite me on the arse. I don't learn my lesson, but I'll wait to see what happens in the summer. But I'm not sure that we'll get what we want. I mean, you said on, I think it was here last week, we need about 14 players. We're not getting that. I think everyone could.
Mate, we're not getting 4.
Whether we'll get 4, but. Yeah, I'd like to think that something will happen in the summer, whether it's what we need, whether it's what Conte wants, who knows. But I'll wait and see what happens in the summer. But yeah, he's got to do something. He seemed to be not rocked, but or upset, but not expecting the reaction that he got after the 3-0 at United. So if Conte walks, and which Conte is likely to do if he doesn't get his own way, then he's going to be going to get a lot more flack. And whether he can afford that or not, I'm not sure. But again, I'm not sure he cares. I just think he gets too much money from Spurs, doesn't really care, and that's just a really worrying thing.
Listen, if we don't have a successful transfer window, when I say successful, I don't mean signing blockbuster players. I mean the players Conte wants. If Conte says, I want player X, I don't want an option of player X. I want player X. I don't care who he is. If Conte says, I want him, get him. Not, okay, we can't get him, but we can get you this. If he doesn't do it, then come first game of the season, he's in trouble. He is in big trouble. And funnily enough, I'll be back in June. So guess what? Guess what, Daniel? I will be outside that training ground. And I will have a fair bit to say. Last time we were peaceful, and I will be peaceful, but I'll be very, very vocal. Very, very vocal. Because I'm not accepting it. I'm not accepting it.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, the paying now doesn't affect me that much because I've got money saved up specifically for this that I've had for ages, and it's a third of the price. But it's the people who don't have that and are paying full price and paying a lot more money, and yes, it's not really on. And we're not going to get an answer. Oh, the answer is this, but it would have been nice to get something that didn't look like it was just copy and pasted. But then I guess that's what we've come to expect now. But
I thought it was copy and pasted.
Yeah. But Alan said it gets earlier every season, won't be long before you're paying 5 seasons in advance, and he wants the money early. He has to pay for the cinema. And we've got a United fan on. Munsey Talks. How you doing, buddy? Bring on United. Are you sure? It depends what Spurs turn up. I think Man United fans would be saying it depends what Spurs turn up.
Yeah.
Spurs fans saying it depends what Man United team turn up. And yeah, in terms of transfers, he said, could be worse. You could have spent loads of money and still play like shite. You want to watch us on Match of the Day a bit more. Like us at United, like we do at United. I think we're fairly similar teams, Spurs and Man United. I mean, they've obviously dropped a lot further than we have, winning leagues, Champions Leagues and what have you. But obviously where we were in our respective glory days, which ours were semi-glory days, and now where we are, and you know, not buying the right type of players, getting through managers fairly quickly, a chairman not liked. I think we're fairly similar kind of teams. So it'd be very interesting. I'm going to go Spurs win as well. I just think they're there for the taking, Man United, and we should be on the up.
Correct.
And we've got a bang in form best striker in the world again.
Yeah, we most certainly do.
Yeah, although I didn't cheer the first goal that he scored against Everton because I was sure it was offside, so I couldn't be bothered wasting my energy.
Yeah, I was with Brian Ireland, and Brian Ireland refused to, and it was very, very, very tight. I mean, he looked miles off the way it ran in real time, but when you watch it, but yeah, he's back. Yeah,
but when you looked at it, and I always say the sign of a great striker, and Van Nistelrooy was the best in the league for me at this. 1-on-1, it's a goal. You might as well just pick the ball up, put it on the centre circle. And there was no doubt he was going to miss that one. And that's him back. That's him back, confident, taking the shot, one touch, and then outside of the area, bang. That's what we need. If we are to get top four, we need him bang in form. And him bang in form will allow Son to get back in form. There'll be space there. But yeah. That's pretty much it for today. Thanks so much, Brian, for coming on. I forgot to say that when you came on, so I do apologise. I should have said thank you for coming on, but
no worries,
better late than never. Yeah, your channel going from strength to strength, literally pretty much every day. It's not in the description at the moment, but I'll make sure to put it in. But for people who don't know, Tottenham on Tour, I'm sure you do know. Where can people find that?
Yeah, it's very sure. It's just Tottenham on Tour as it's written there. That's the Twitter handle as well, but with no spaces. Yeah, we're going. But now I'm back. Brian Ireland and I will be having a meeting with the other two, and we will be bringing out loads more new content, brand new content. Actually, we're going to evolve a bit and bring out some new stuff. So it is all very good, and most importantly, and I keep saying this to everyone right now, please go subscribe to us. But most importantly, before you subscribe to us, if you haven't subscribed to Bob Spur TV, go subscribe to that channel because he's coming back. And yeah, when he does come back, that'll be a subscription you definitely want.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting how many watches that First in the Wall gets. I would suspect in a lot of.
I'm clearing the airways. There won't be a single Spur like within our community. Within our community, there will not be another stream on apart from him.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, well, there could be other ones on, but you're probably not going to get many listens or watches from there, so it's fairly pointless. But yeah, great to see him doing well, and I can't wait to see him back on YouTube. It was brilliant to see him on Eugene's channel, Spurs Racing TV, a couple of weeks ago, something like that. Didn't expect it at all. All of a sudden, Bob Spur comes on. Absolutely fantastic to see him back, and yeah. Like you say, go and hit like and subscribe on that channel. Please hit the like and subscribe here. 195 subscribers. Please get me to 200, and then get Brian and Tottenham on Tour even further forward than they are at the moment. Absolutely like a rocket ship. They're essentially what Spurs need to be at Old Trafford, on fire. And I'll put that in the description. So please make sure you put them on, and check out Brian's Twitter handle, which I'll put on there as well. Hit like and subscribe here. Do the same on Tottenham on Tour, like I've said, and Bob Spur TV, and any Spurs channel, to be perfectly honest. They're all fantastic channels. And be back on Monday. Hopefully with 6 points out of 6. And my Bring On United title for this one is I can't think of the word. I always have these quiet moments. But, basically Bring On United, go and get a win. That actually happens. And I can then start depressing myself and upsetting myself by believing in top four again until we lose.
There you go.
But yeah, until Monday, come on, you Spurs.
And as always, Levy out.
Thank you so much for watching. For everybody who participated in the live chat and added comments, before you go, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Anybody who couldn't watch the live video, you can still catch us on YouTube. Add any comments, suggestions or questions to the comments section on the video. Anybody who's listened to the audio-only podcast, thank you so much for listening. Anybody who wants the audio-only podcast, you get this wherever you get your podcast from. Alternatively, if you go to Twitter, @Talk Tottenham, you'll find all the information there. We'll be back soon. We're live Mondays, 8 p.m, Fridays, 12:30 UK time. Until then, come on, you Spurs!